परमंश परिव्राजकाचार्य सुतर सदस्यमान भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपिनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंड की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। नववेद भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to their soul. All glories to their soul. All glories to their soul. Thank you very much.
The following is a class on the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, second chapter, text number 7, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded March 1966 in New York.
Now, Arjuna is perplexed. He is perplexed in the matter whether to fight or not to fight. That was his perplexity. After seeing his relatives in front of him with whom he was to fight, he was perplexed. And there was some argument also with Krishna. Krishna, of course, did not encourage. Now, here is a point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. What is that? What is this book?
Well, this is the translation of the Bhagavad-Gita.
But now you can hear me.
I am hearing.
Yes. No, don't turn your attention. Just hear me. Krishna, although he is present there with Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still he did not encourage him. From worldly point of view, when somebody says that, well, I give it up, I don't want it, I don't want to fight with my friend or my relative, better let them enjoy, I shall forgo my claim. From worldly point of view, this is a very gentlemanly behavior. The one is forgoing his claim and for the matter of his relative or friend. But Krishna is not encouraging that proposal. We have to mark it. Krishna is not encouraging. Krishna is rather inducing Arjuna that it is not a very good proposal, it is not befitting your position. You belong to the Aryan family, you belong to the Kshatriya royal family, and you are denying to fight. No, this is not good. And I am your friend. I have taken the responsibility of your chariot driver, and if you do not fight, what people will say. So he is not encouraging justice. Now here is a good proposal from the worldly point of view that Arjuna does not want to fight, and Krishna is not encouraging. Now what is the point? Somebody may say that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why he is encouraging in the matter of fight? The people at the present moment, when there is a question of war, people want to stop that war. At the present moment, the movement is going on between all nations that they do not want war. But here we see that Krishna is not discouraging war. We have to mark this point. He is not discouraging war, but he is rather advocating, inducing Arjuna that no, this is not defeating your position. You must fight. So, here is the point, that sometimes we may do something which is approved by the general public, but it may not be approved by the supreme authority. Superficially, it may appear very appealing to the sentiment of the public, but factually, such things may not be correct. If we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and while he was inducing Arjuna to fight, it does not mean that he was inducing Arjuna to do something wrong. But from a worldly point of view, Arjuna was a very pious man, and he was declined to fight, and not to kill his kinsman, not to kill his friend. This is a very important point. So he argued, no, if I fight, my people will die, and their wives will become widow, and they will be adulterated, and then by adulteration unwanted population will increase, and will offer Sraddha. Sraddha, there is a ceremony of Sraddha according to Hindu scripture. I do not know whether you have in your Christian religion, but according to Hindu, a dead body is offered some respect every year. Just like death anniversary observed, similarly in the family, the descendants, they offer some foodstuff after some religious ceremony that is called Sraddha. And it is believed that that offering goes to the dead forefathers. So that is a family religious ceremony. So Arjun said that if these people will die, we will offer that evolution to the forefathers. So from ordinary point of view, from the point of view of a family man, he argued with Krishna in so many ways. And after, at the end, he decided that I cannot fight. I cannot fight. Then Krishna tried to induce him, and he said that yes, whatever you are saying, that I am a Kshatriya and I am not doing my duty, this is all right. But my mind is perplexed. So he was at the same time conscious that Sri Krishna only can make a solution of this perplexity. So he said, Katpanna dosupa tatasvabhava prichyami sang dharma sangamura cheta jatseva sannischitang buddhistanme shishastiham sadhiman sang pramanyam. Yes, Katpanna dos. Katpanna dos means a miserly man. Miserly man. He was conscious of the fact that he was a great hero, he was a great fighter, and at the same time the enemies were there. So his actual duty was to fight with the enemy. They are offering fight. For a Kshatriya, there are some obligations. If somebody challenges that I want to fight with you, a Kshatriya cannot deny. If somebody challenges, yes, I want to bet with you, gambling, a Kshatriya cannot deny. For that reason, the Pandavas lost their kingdom. The other side, his cousins, offered them that all right, let us come to betting. So betting, they beat was and they offered the kingdom. If you defeated, if you are defeated, then you lose your kingdom. So they lost their kingdom. Then the next offer was that if you are defeated, you lose your wife. So they lost their wife. And similarly, they are put. Now, this time if you are defeated, you have to go to the forest for 2 years. So there was a great plan behind them, and the Pandavas were defeated in so many ways, and they were harassed and embarrassed for not less than 20 years. And now they were to fight face to face. Now he is not prepared to fight. That means he has become miserly when he is deviating from his duty. Now, so he is conscious that practically I am deviating from my duty. Katpanna dosa, this is my miserly behavior. Dosa means it is a fault on my part. I should not have deviated from this fighting, but my sentiment does not allow me to fight with my kinsmen. So here is a perplexity. So Karpanna dosha apahata svabhava dharma samura cheta. So not only I am miserly, but I am deviating from my duty, dharma. This dharma means according to different positions, just like Brahman, the intellectual society, the Kshatriya, the administrator society, the Vaishyas, the mercantile society, and the Shudras. Shudras means the laborer class. So these four divisions are always, now you can name in a different way, that doesn't matter. And in every society and for all time these divisions are there. So according to Vedic system, this system is observed by Janaka. So he was a Kshatriya. The Kshatriya's duty was to fight with the enemy, and he was not executing the injunction. Therefore, he is conscious that dharma sangamura cheta. I am deviating from my religion also. It is the duty of Kshatriya. So I am now perplexed. So jat shreyasya nishchita. Now you should kindly definitely say. Now here is a position. I do not understand what is to be done. You kindly jat shreyasya nishchita. Nishchita means definitely. What is right, bruhitam. Now Krishna can say, well, I am already saying you that you should fight, but you are not carrying out the order. So he says, Sishasriham Sanimang Sang Prapannam. So he accepted, all right, whatever arguments you have done so far, let us forget that. Now I accept you as my spiritual master, not my friend. Now, the idea of accepting spiritual master, that is also very obligatory. You see, as soon as you accept one as a spiritual master, first of all, we have recorded in you have heard it, that acceptance of spiritual master must be selected. You see, after careful examination, just like one selects his bride or bridegroom after careful examination, and in India they are very careful because the marriage of the boys and girls takes place under the guidance of the parents. So the parents very carefully see. So similarly, one has to, the acceptance of spiritual master is necessary. According to Vedic injunction, everyone should have a spiritual master. Perhaps you have seen a sacred thread. We have got sacred thread. Mr. Cohen, yes, sacred thread. That sacred thread is the sign that this person has his spiritual master. As a spiritual master. Just like here, of course, there is no such distinction. A married girl, and according to Hindu system, they have got some sign there so that people can understand this girl is married. They put on a red and painting here, so that others know that this girl is married. And according to what is called this, the division of the hair, what is this line called?
Heart. Heart.
What is the spelling?
To part.
To part. This parting is also, there is some meaning. When the parting is here in the middle, then that girl has her husband and she is coming from respectable family. And if the partition is here, then he sees a prostitute. You see. A prostitute cannot, there was kings ruling that a prostitute cannot fight here. And then again, when a girl is well dressed, then it should be considered that she has got her husband at home. And when she is not well dressed, then it should be understood that her husband is out of home. You see? And a widow's dress. There are so many, there are symptoms. So, similarly, this thread, sacred thread, is a sign that this person has accepted somebody as his spiritual master. He has got, it's just like this red mark symbolizes that this girl has her husband. Similarly, this sacred thread is the symbol that this man has got his spiritual master. So there is a ceremony, you see. So according to Vedic system, one has to accept a spiritual master in order to make a solution of his life. In every step of his life, the spiritual master guides. He also makes questions to the spiritual master and he guides, so that his life, his progress of life may be systematic. Now, to take such guidance means the spiritual master should also be a very perfect man. Otherwise, how can he guide? Now here, Arjuna knows that Sri Krishna is a perfect person. So therefore, he is accepting him as Shishyakteham Sadhiman Sam Prapanna. I am just surrendering unto you, he said, yourself, and you accept me as your disciple. Because friendly talk cannot make a solution of the perplexity. Friendly talk may be going on for years together, but there is no solution. Here, accepting Krishna as a spiritual master means whatever Krishna will decide, he has to accept. One cannot deny the order of a spiritual master. Therefore, one has to select a spiritual master whose order carrying, he will not commit a mistake. Now, suppose if you accept a wrong person as spiritual master, and if he guides you wrongly, then your whole life is spoiled. So one has to accept a spiritual master whose guidance will make his life perfect. That is the relation between spiritual master and disciple. It is not a formality. It is a great responsibility, both for the disciple and for the spiritual master. And, yes.
But if the disciple is ignorant before,
Yes.
how does he know which master to choose? He doesn't have the knowledge.
Yes. Yes. The first thing is that one should be searching after a disciple, searching after a spiritual master. Now, just like you search after some school, you search after some school. So when you are searching after some school, you must have at least some preliminary knowledge what a school means. You cannot search after a school and go to a cloth shop. If you are so ignorant that you do not know what is a school and what is a cloth shop, then it is very difficult for you. You must know at least what is the school. So that knowledge is like this. Tadvijnanatham sa gurumeva avigachet samitpani srotyam brahman. The spiritual master is required for a person who is inquisitive to have transcendental knowledge. He requires a spiritual master. You see? So, there is another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tasmad gurum prapaddeta jignasu shreya uttamam. Tasmad gurum prapaddeta. One should search after a spiritual master who is inquisitive about transcendental subject matter. So unless one is at least conversant with the preliminary knowledge of transcendental matter, that transcendental matter here you can see, Arjuna is perplexed, and now he wants a definite answer. This is the inquiry about transcendental subject matter. So every human being has to inquire. The inquiry must be there. What is that inquiry? That inquiry is the preliminary that every human being is suffering. Ignorant man, just like a cat and dog or an animal, they are suffering, but they do not understand. Suffering they do not understand. Just like we have seen, of course, here animals are slaughtered in slaughterhouse. According to Hindu system, of course, cow killing is not allowed. But there are meat eaters. So, according to Hindu system, if anyone wants to eat meat, he should take a goat. According to Hindu system, only goats and lambs can be killed for meat eating. No other animal. No other animal. Cow is not for eating. Just like the Hindus, they do not eat cow's flesh. And the Muslims, they do not eat hog flesh, they do not eat. They have got some sentiment. But meat eating is also there in the Hindu society. But that is only by goat meat or lamb meat. Generally goat. Now, these goats are sacrificed before a goddess Kali. So, I have seen it, that one animal is being killed, slaughtered, and another animal, which will be slaughtered next, it has been given some grass, and it is standing there. It has no knowledge that my next turn is mine. So, it is not going ahead. So, this is animal. This is animal. A human being is not so fool. If there is sign that next time my killing is to be taken up, then at least he will protest or try to go away, something like that, you see. But there is no such thing. So, the distinction between animal and man is that the animal is not aware of the suffering he is undergoing. There are suffering both for the animals and for the man. But man is conscious. If a man is not awakened to his suffering, then he is in animal consciousness. There are suffering both for the animals and for the man. But man is conscious. If a man is not awakened to his suffering, then he is in animal consciousness. So we should not forget that we are always under suffering. There are three kinds of suffering. I don't say about this economic problem, or that is also another suffering, but according to basic knowledge, or it is a fact, there are three kinds of suffering. One kind of suffering belonging to the body and the mind. Now suppose I am getting some headache. Now I am feeling very warm. I am feeling very cold. So many bodily sufferings there are. Then similarly, we have got suffering from the mind. My mind is not well today. Somebody has called me something, so I am suffering, or I have lost something, some friend. so many things. So sufferings of the body and mind, and then sufferings by the nature. This is called Adi-Daivik, which we have no control. In every suffering we have no control, especially suppose there is heavy snowfall. The whole New York City is flooded with snow and you are all put into inconvenience. That's a sort of suffering. But you have no control. You cannot stop snow falling. You see? There is a wind, cold wind. You cannot stop it. This is called Adi-Daivik suffering. And the suffering of the mind, the suffering of the body is called Adhyatmic. And there is other suffering, Adi-Bhautik, attacked by other living beings. My enemy, some animal, or some worm, so many. So these three kinds of sufferings are there, all. But we do not want all these sufferings. When this question comes, now here Arjuna is conscious that there is a fight and it is my duty to fight with the enemy, but there is suffering because they are my kinsmen. So he is feeling that. So unless the human being is conscious and awakened to the fact that we are always in suffering, but we do not want all these suffering. This question, such a person is required to approach spiritual world. When he is conscious, you see, so long he is animal life that he does not know that he is always in suffering. He does not know, he does not care, or he does not want to make a solution. Here Arjuna is suffering and he wants to make a solution, and therefore he accesses spiritual master. So when we are conscious of our suffering, we are awakened to the suffering situation. Suffering is there. Forgetfulness or ignorance of suffering is no meaning. Suffering is there. But when one is very serious to make a solution of his suffering, then a spiritual master is required. That's why Arjuna requires now a spiritual master. Is it clear?
Hare Krishna. This lecture is very long. Remaining part later on. So, what did Prabhupada begin with? What was Arjun's situation and what was Krishna's stand?
Arjuna was perplexed and Krishna was saying that you must fight. You give it up this perplexity. This is a duty to fight and you should fight.
Haribo! So Krishna did not encourage Arjuna with his indecision or with his desire not to fight. So what did Prabhupada say from worldly point of view? How would people see this? Yes, Antagibro.
So worldly people say that we should not encourage fighting. So public opinion there may be some sentiment like that, but the authority, the supreme authority, Krishna has another view. So that is what is right.
Haribo! So many nations they have this fight and they want to discourage, they don't want war. But here we see that Krishna is not discouraging war. And Prabhupada concludes, sometimes we may do something which is approved by the general public, but it may not be approved by the supreme authority. Superficially it may appear very appealing to the sentiment of the public, but factually such thing may not be correct. What would be the consequences if I fight, according to Arjuna? Some 3, 4, 5 consequences is stated. Yes, Bhagavad-Gita.
all Kshatriyas will be dead and their wives will be widow and they get adulterated. They get adulterated and population will be
Unwanted.
population.
And last.
And Shraddha will be forgotten by people.
Harivo. If I fight, my people will die and their wives will become widows and they will be adulterated, and by that unwanted population will increase. And who will offer Shraddha? What did Prabhupada say about Shraddha? He also compared with some English term also he gave apart from the explanation. What is Shraddha? Shraddha we all know, Prabhupada said that, but in Prabhupada words. Yes.
When dead body is offered some respect every year by the son, so that is Shraddha, Prabhupada says.
How is he offered respect? Just bowing down or
So
something?
no, they offered food stuff to the dead body every year.
To the dead body we offer food?
No, means like as a respect, they offer food stuff.
Vital elements are missing.
They offer to the Lord, which the soul he gets it. Means the dead.
They offer to the Lord
And then to the
prasad they offer to the person. That means to his photo and all that, and then it will reach there.
Yes.
So this is like death anniversary. Prabhupada said. Harivo. It is believed that the offering goes to the dead forefathers. So, though Arjun's mind was perplexed, what was he conscious of? Yes, Balraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Though Arjun mind was perplexed, he was conscious that Karpanya dosho, Prabhupada used that word, that he had a fault. His duty as a Kshatriya he was not doing. So that he was conscious, that he is suffering.
Yes, Samatha Krishna Prabhu.
Although Arjuna was perplexed, he was conscious that only Krishna can solve my problem.
Harivo! That Sri Krishna only can make a solution of this perplexity. And then in that context, he said this verse, 7th verse, Karpanya dosho, Vahatas svabhava prushyamitam dharma sambhuda cheta, yashreyasan nichitam bruhitan me, shishyasthaham shadi mam tam prapannam. Prabhupada next said about obligations for a Kshatriya. Some obligations. Yes, Hari Gaurang Guru.
Prabhupada was saying that when any Kshatriya is challenged for a fight, then he cannot deny it. He has to accept it.
Also one more.
And some lady, she opposes for marriage, then he has to.
That is true, but Prabhupada did not say about no lady approached Kshatriya today. Yes, that is true. But in this context, one more Prabhupada said.
Gambling.
If they challenge.
Yudhishthira Maharaj approached to gambling.
In general, if a Kshatriya is challenged for gambling match, he has to accept it. Harivo! So then Prabhupada kind of said about Karpanya dosh. What is that Karpanya dosh? Towards the end, Prabhupada. Towards the end means towards the end of that discussion. Yes.
Prabhupada said about miserliness of Arjun. Arjun was knowing that I'm not doing my duty, so I'm miserly in that sense. So he was knowing it's a dosha.
Harivo! So there was a plan, great plan behind all this plot, and the Pandavas were defeated in so many ways and they were harassed, embarrassed for not less than 20 years. And now they were to fight face to face. Now he is not prepared to fight. That means he has become miserly. Means he is deviating from his duty. So he is conscious that practically I am deviating from my duty. Karpanya dosh. This is my miserly behavior. Dosha means it is a fault on my part. I should not have deviated from this fighting, but my sentiment does not allow me to fight with my kinsmen. So Prabhupada said, not only I am miserly, Arjun saying, but I am deviating from my duty, dharma. So it's one thing is Karpanya dosha means not doing something. Miserly person like he doesn't spend. So that is one thing. But here is a duty also, dharma also, which Arjun is not able to follow. So he's saying, Yashreyasan Nichitam. Nichitam means, what is Arjun's meaning? Nichitam here, when he uses the word Nichitam in his perplexity. Yes. Answer is simple, everybody knows, but
I can try. Definitely, Nishitam means definitely you can give me the solution to my perplexity.
Tell me what is right.
Tell me what
Rebo. Generally, perplexity is between two things only. Should I fight or should I not fight? Is it right to fight or it is right to not fight? So just you tell me what is right. Then Prabhupada said about Shishyaste aham shadhi mam tvam prapannam. How did Prabhupada describe it? What was going on till he said this, and then what he means by this? Sudhamanath Prabhu.
Prabhupada said that Arjuna is seeking solution from Krishna, and Krishna says that you need to fight. So Arjuna may say that, but the point is that till now also Krishna has been giving the same solution that you need to fight. But Arjuna is specifying that now I will no more argue with you, but I accept you as my spiritual master and I surrender to you as your disciple. So I'll do what you tell.
No more arguments. Earlier the friendly discussions were going on, and all right, whatever arguments we have done so far, let us forget that. Now I accept you as my spiritual master, not my friend. Haribo. So then Prabhupada said the idea of accepting spiritual master, that is also dash dash. Now Prabhupada is heading towards that discussion, Guru's discussion. So that is also very, sorry, I said one thing. Okay, that is also very dash. Obligatory. Harivo! So it's like compulsory, but he will define what exactly, for whom it is compulsory, for whom it is not. So then he said, one who has a spiritual master, some sign is there. What is that sign? And he gave one example also. You're
telling that somebody has a sacred thread, then that means he has accepted his spiritual master. I give the example of just like a chaste married woman, she will have kumkum. He said painted something in the middle. He said that sign is there. That's how one can understand that she is married.
Okay. Harivo. I should have asked in a little different way. Just like one accepts a spiritual master after careful examination. So he gave example, just like one selects his bride or bridegroom after careful examination, as is the custom in India. So what are the signs, some 2-3 signs of a girl is married? How one would know that this girl is unmarried, this girl is married? Balraj Prabhu.
So one Prabhuji is already called out, Shildve, paint, red kumkum. Second is partition. If it's a middle partition, the Mataji would belong to a respectable family. And third one is like if she's dressed nicely, it means that her husband is at home.
Okay, that is little extra. Okay. Harivo. So if she is not well dressed, that means her husband is not at home. What is this? How would one know that this girl is a prostitute? Certainly, this is in the Vedic times, but we should know this principle. Yes, Sudhavana Prabhu.
Prabhupada said that if the partition of the hair is in the center, then she is a respectable girl from respectable family. But if the partition is not in center, but on the other side of the head, then she is a prostitute.
Harivo. According to Vedic system, one has to accept a spiritual master in order to dash, dash, dash. Why should one accept spiritual master? Okay. Vishwajit Krishna.
In order to accept his order.
That is true. That is the norm. But why should in the first place? Okay.
Everyone is having so many suffering, miseries and perplexities. So in order to come out of the misery and perplexity, one should accept a spiritual master.
In order to make a solution of his life. Harivo. Prabhupada had said in every step of his life, the spiritual master guides him. He also makes question to the spiritual master, and the spiritual master guides him so that his life, his progress of life may be systematic. To take such a guidance means the spiritual master should also be a very perfect man. Otherwise, how can he guide? And one should accept a spiritual master whose order, carrying his order, one will not make mistake. And if one accepts a wrong spiritual master and he guides wrongly, then whole life is spoiled. So spiritual master's guidance should make one's life perfect. So it's a formality also. That is the relation between, one has to accept a spiritual master whose guidance will make his life perfect. That is the relation between spiritual master and disciple. It is not a formality. It is a great responsibility both for the disciple and the spiritual master. Then that person asked about if the disciple is ignorant, how would he know? So Prabhupada gave some example. What is the requirement and some example he gave. Yes, Samhata Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhupada gave the example that if you want to go to a school, you should know what is a school, some basic understanding. Otherwise, on the name of school, if you go to a cloth